Hello, I hope all is well. And well, recently I noticed there was like a tuning issue with my Gibson SG. And yeah, it turned out to be something a lot sillier than I thought. And basically it's damage done to one of the tuning pegs, which was quite significant actually. I'm not sure why I didn't notice it before, or maybe something happened, but check this out. So they're all attached fine and they're all in line, but like this tuning peg is like all bent out of shape. So I don't know what happened, but basically while it still works, you can see that it's basically screwed. So I need to replace this with something else. And I was having a look online and I figured, well, the best sort of thing to sort of replace this with is maybe some kind of locking tuners or something along those lines. And that's where I stumbled upon these, which I think are kind of recommended as upgrades, so Gotoh machine heads. So I figured I'd do a quick video on this while I install them, just to give you an idea how they install and how it pans out. So I don't have like a fancy overhead shot to show what I'm doing, but essentially I'll be removing the, well, broken tuners, should we say, or at least one's really kind of broken on this guitar, and then replacing them with the Gotohs. They're meant to be like a drop-in replacement, so we'll see how that goes. So I got the strings off. I'm going to keep them because they were a fresh set of strings that I put on already before. So yeah, now we can get to the fun part of basically removing the old tuners on there. So what I just did was I unscrewed the screws that are holding the tuner in on the back of the tuning peg. And now we're going to, well, basically unwind the bolt and the washer that are on the actual tuning peg on the top. And we'll do the same thing for all 6 of those tuners or tuning pegs before installing the Gotohs. So this is the culprit tuner, and yeah, while it still turns, there's something definitely off here. And ironically, this is also this tuner on the G string, which on my old SG that I used to own was also the more problematic string in terms of like going out of tune. But yeah, we'll try the Gotohs now to see if this fixes the issues we're having. So these are the Gotohs. This is the case they come with. So you can see that we have the 6 tuners, we have the bushings that come along with it, and also the screws and all the things that we need to install them onto the Gibson. Good, drop one on the floor already. One thing I will note is that this would be so much easier like on a proper table setup where I don't have to like crawl under the desk for stuff that's falling on the floor. So for the installation, we have a bushing here and then the tuning peg itself. Now to make things a bit easier, I'm actually gonna use the existing screws as they fit perfectly into the holes that are already there. So unfortunately, the supplied bushings, I guess this is something you can check in advance, or I'd suggest you definitely check in advance, are too small. They're slightly too small for the ones in this guitar. So I've gone for like a DIY fix that is kind of working, and it's this aluminium foil tape. So it's basically taking a small bit of this and lining around the outside of the bushing, so then it fits as it should within the hole that's in this headstock. It's not much, and this is just enough to make it fit and sit properly. So attached a bit of tape there. There's obviously some excess. I'm just gonna wrap it around the bushing once, so it stops there. I'm then gonna cut it right there so I don't do an overlap at that point. There we go, so it looks like that. Can then close it off there. And so it doesn't look great, but at least it works. So we'll go ahead and do this with the rest of the tuners that we're going to install. So there we go, just installed the 6 tuners. It would have been a really easy drop-in job if the bushings had fitted perfectly first time around. But yeah, this silver tape fix definitely works. So I've added an extra layer of aluminium tape around the bushings, and now they're, I wouldn't say a snug fit, but snug enough so that everything works. So now we'll put the strings back on and tune up and see how we do. In any case, visually definitely doesn't look out of place compared to say the previous tuners. They're pretty much the same tint as the previous tuners, so that's cool. So there we go, all strung up. One thing to note, these are the Gotoh Magnum lock tuners, so it's like the self-locking mechanism. And if you've never used them before, they can be a bit, I won't say confusing, but it's not something that you're necessarily used to. So in essence, you're putting it through like a cam shaft or a cam lock. Then as you turn the tuning peg itself, the locking mechanism sets in place and then the string is locked. It's actually really straightforward once you get used to it, but if you've never used it, it's like, what's going on? And it does take quite a few winds for the actual lock to set in and start, if that makes sense. So I'd really recommend a string winder when using these tuning pegs. So one thing I've noticed off the bat is that these tuners are just simply more precise than the ones that came with it. So they're a bit harder to turn, but with that, it's also more precise. So I'm getting more precise tuning out of that. And I think it will hold tuning better because of that. And that's only something I can really test in the long run, shall we say. But I definitely feel better and more at ease with these tuners compared to the old ones. And the main thing is, like, I no longer have a tuning peg, which is completely busted out of shape. In any case, hope that was useful. I will say one thing. It makes things a hell of a lot easier if you have like a proper table set up and then you can lay the guitar down and work on it. Working on this on my lap is far from ideal, and to finish off the video I'll just leave a shot of what's in front of me to give you some idea of the kind of mess that's involved in this. In any case, thanks a lot for watching, hope to see you in the next video. Take care.